Let's get it. 580 Sports Talk is live and direct on a Friday. That's right. We made it to the end of the week. Your reward today, 3 hours of sports talk here on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and in living color on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and our Facebook page, WIBW News. However, wherever, whenever you're tuning into the program today, thank you so much for being a part of 580 Sports Talk. My name is Dan Lucero. We're going to ham and egg it a little bit, but you'll hear from all of us today. You'll hear from Brendan Dworzinski. Spencer Dupuy will be in the 4 o'clock hour. He'll have the 5 o'clock hour to himself. I'm going to knock off a bit early today. So we'll make it work. We'll piece it together. We're going to have a funky good time over the next 3 hours with plenty to discuss. A couple of great guests, some audio from the dais for KU baseball as they get ready for the biggest weekend in program history, a best-of-3 super regional against the Oklahoma Sooners with a berth in the College World Series on the line. Lots of good stuff, plus a little overtime, too, taking you up to 6:30 tonight when we will pass the baton to the Royals Baseball Network for game 2 out of 4 between the Royals and the Twins. In case you bagged it at the rain delay or otherwise didn't make it to the end of last night's 4+ hour marathon, the Royals won, and they're 3-1 in June. Katie bar the door. Royals winners last night 8-6. We'll recap that a little bit. Game 2 is tonight, 6:30 pregame from Target Field, 7:10 first pitch. That's coming up right here on 580 WIBW and FM 104.9. We will talk a little bit about that game last night because last night's game is the kind of game that rewards the diehard. And I understand that not all of you who listen to this program are diehard Royals fans. Rain or shine, win or lose, you're there for all 162. That's a small percentage, even of the sports talk audience. That's a small percentage. I understand that. But chances are, if you are part of the sports talk audience, you know what it's like to be a sicko about something. And maybe it's the Royals. Maybe it's the Chiefs. Maybe it's K-State, KU. Maybe it's, not a local team. Maybe it's a team outside of our frame of reference, our sphere of what we cover here on 580 Sports Talk. But you probably know what it's like, even if you cannot specifically relate to the experience of being a Royals sicko. You're probably a sicko about something. And last night was a game for the sickos. Last night was a game that rewards the diehard. And even in a year that has been so disappointing and so frustrating and seems fated for disappointment, season-long disappointment, you get games that reward your presence, your patience, your devotion. And last night's game, forever and always likely the Josh Rojas game, that will be one of those that stands in the memory. Well, I'll expound upon what I mean a little bit in saying that here in just a little bit. Also, I am noticing, Michael Massey, you have my attention. Not a lot of Royals have my attention right now, but Michael Massey has my attention, and he maybe ought to have yours too, because that is the hottest bat right now in the Royals lineup. Another dinger last night for the Royals' second sacker, his third on the trip. And we'll talk about what he's done lately and why it matters. Even if it may only matter to Massey specifically, more so than the Royals' even short or long-term future. So we'll get to some baseball today, certainly, but we're also going to talk some college baseball today because the biggest games in our purview this weekend are not at Target Field between a third-place team and a last-place team. No, the biggest games this weekend are at the Hoagland Ballpark. The Jayhawks and the Sooners throwing it back to Big 8 days, a best-of-3 super regional, the first of its kind in Lawrence, a trip to the College World Series on the line. What must the Jayhawks do to advance to the College World Series? How do the Jayhawks become the Omaha Hawks? we'll break it down, tell you a little bit more about this Oklahoma team that is coming into town, because we can all be honest with each other. We weren't eating the tape on SEC baseball this year. So you want to probably know a little bit about, all right, what should we expect if you're a KU fan, or if you're just kind of along for the ride. I'm sure many of you are just kind of along for the bandwagon ride, and there is nothing wrong with that. I know people criticize the bandwagon fan. There are a lot of people that only show up when there's a party, but you know what? It's fun when there's a party. You should encourage people to show up for the party. You should make it fun for them to show up for the party so they hang out after the party, right? So maybe we got some KU bandwagon hoppers out there, some KU baseball bandwagon hoppers. I'm not judging you in the least if that describes you. In fact, I welcome you, and I'm sure the Jayhawks do too. But we're going to look at the series a little bit. Who are the names to know on the Oklahoma side of things, and what must the Jayhawks do to become the Omahawks? We'll also, in the 5 o'clock hour, get some of the audio from today's press conference out in Lawrence. You'll hear from Coach Dan Fitzgerald and select players who spoke ahead of tomorrow's game 1 of that super regional at the Hog. 5 o'clock, first pitch, KU and OU. So some college baseball to get you on the show today. 2 great guests on the program that I mentioned. One you're very familiar with because we do it every Friday in the 3 o'clock hour. It's Matt Derrick, our Chiefs insider from ChiefsDigest.com. We'll get Matt's thoughts on the continuing of OTAs. A lot of really positive buzz around the new guys on the defensive line. The kids, Peter Woods, R. Mason Thomas, they're making some noise. We're going to ask Matt Derrick about that. Anything else he was able to observe in the open media portions of OTAs. Matt Derrick of ChiefsDigest.com, our Chiefs insider, will join us at the bottom of this 3 o'clock hour. And at the bottom of the 4 o'clock hour, earlier today, our Brendan Dworzinski, our in-house resident horse racing fan, caught up with this show's longtime horse racing expert. Andy Weingarten, formerly of WIBW TV and Wave 3 Television in Louisville, will join us in the 4 o'clock hour, bottom of the 4 o'clock hour, to preview the final leg of the Triple Crown, the Belmont Stakes being run this weekend, the last of the 3 crown jewels of horse racing's Triple Crown. Brendan caught up with Andy earlier today. We'll run that interview for you later on in the program. Plus, plenty of time for our fun and games and shenanigans on this Friday. Spencer will run you through 580 Sports Talk headlines, including a playoff roundup. We'll crown a weekly champion on What Is Wrong With You. We'll do On Second Thought. We'll do Change My Mind. All that fun stuff still to come on today's show. Plus, your interaction with the program today. We want to hear from you. The text line is open. 785-272-9429 is the number. That is 785-272-9429. You can also hop in on YouTube and join the live chat on the live stream of the show on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. Go subscribe to the channel if you have yet to do so. It doesn't cost you anything but a click. And join the chat. Say hello to your fellow listeners. Grow the 580 Sports Talk community. Ask questions. Drive the conversation. Interact with your hosts as we go along as well. See Mark H. and JB in the chat so far. Welcome in, gentlemen. Look forward to hearing from more of you as we go along on this Friday. All right. Royals 8, Twins 6 last night. A game that wrapped up right around 10:30-ish. I'm a little fuzzy on the time because it was about the time that my son decided to wake up and be a little fussy. A little teething situation going on. It's just a rough night for the boy. You have those right around the age of 2. Today is the last day that my son is a 1-year-old. He will be a 2-year-old tomorrow. If you'd like to extend happy birthday wishes to my son in the chat, you can go ahead and do that. I'll pass them. I'll be sure I'm sure he'll appreciate it, and I'll pass them along. Anyhow, so I'm a little fuzzy on the exact time, but it was a longer game than scheduled because of a mid-game rain delay. But the Royals pull it out. They go to 3-1 in the month of June with the 8-6 win. And those games like last night are the ones that make being a diehard worth it, even in a down season, because that was a weird and wild and occasionally silly baseball game. the Twins built a picket fence for 6 innings. They scored exactly 1 run in each of the first 6 innings of the game. Royals took an early lead, gave it right back, jumped back in front, gave it right back. We're down 5-3 going into the top of the 6th, then rally for 3 runs, thanks in part to a Michael Massey home run. More about him in a little bit. And the Royals go on top right before the rain hits and the tarp comes out. And then, unbelievably, the Twins, for the 6th straight inning, score precisely 1 run on a Victor Caratini home run. John Schreiber out here giving up home runs to guys hitting below the Mendoza line. What else is new? Tie the game at 6. And then somehow that's where it stays until the 9th inning. And as much as we have on this program, I have specifically, we don't need to use the royal we in this case because it's largely been me. As much as I have criticized Matt Quatraro for pushing a lot of the wrong buttons this season, even when there aren't a lot of right buttons to push for a 25-win team on June 5th, Quatraro has pushed a lot of the wrong buttons this year, and I've not exactly been shy or quiet about saying so. But if we're going to be fair around here, if I'm going to have any credibility with all of you out there, then I need to be honest about what last night's 9th inning was, and it was Matt Quatraro pushing all of the right buttons. Pinch running for Salvador Perez after his leadoff single with Tyler Tolbert. Lane Thomas pinch hitting for Jack Caglione. I know it gets annoying. We want to see Jack do his thing. He's the young guy, but you're trying to win a baseball game. The righty against a tough lefty who's only in there for the lefties. Lane Thomas is on that team to do that job, and he did the job. He kept the line moving with a base hit of his own. Isaac Collins asked to bunt, gets the bunt down. Then Quatraro goes to his bench, forces the left-handed reliever out of the game by pinch hitting Michael Garcia, who clearly isn't 100% like with the ability to run, or wasn't last night anyhow. But pinch hitting him meant the Twins had to go to what was already a really thin bullpen because of how the night had unfolded. They basically had a bullpen game. And Quatraro forces Minnesota's hand rather than stay with Massey. And frankly, that would have been justifiable. Massey had homered. Massey had 2 hits. Massey's actually got a higher average right now against lefties and righties. Small sample size, but still. But you force the hand of the opposing manager to go deeper into his bullpen and go to a guy who they had just added to the 26-man roster in Rocky Gray and also ex-Pirate Justin Lawrence, who I believe was acquired just 2 days ago by the Twins via trade after the Pirates had designated him for assignment. Why did he get designated for assignment? I think if you watched last night's game, you probably had a pretty good idea why. But yes, it's a right-on-right matchup at that point, but Garcia's a good guy to bat against a reliever like Lawrence because he'll be patient. He doesn't chase out of the zone. And indeed, true to form, he did not chase out of the zone. He ends up working a walk to load the bases. And then Quatraro went back to his bench for a lefty against a sidearm righty. That left-hander, Josh Rojas. And your sicko bona fides are not questionable if you knew, as a Royals fan, who Josh Rojas was before last night. That is a guy that, even if you did know who he is as a Royals fan, you probably didn't spend a whole lot much more time thinking about him than we did in spring training, when he was a guy who got off to a good start at spring training and was a guy who we briefly talked about as, well, maybe, 26th man, if there's some competition for that spot. Maybe they go with him over a guy like Tyler Tolbert. Who's to say? Well, obviously they didn't. Rojas has been chilling in Omaha. He was chilling in Omaha yesterday morning until the Royals had a need on the 26-man roster. Stephen Kolek going on the family emergency leave list. So I hope everything is well with Stephen and his family, certainly. But Josh Rojas from Omaha in the morning to the Twin Cities in the afternoon and to the crucible of a tied game in the 9th. And that's not a guy, again, unless you're an absolute Royals sicko, you're not really watching the Omaha Storm Chasers box scores, right? Or you're not really dug in at the beginning of spring training to notice who's having a good spring training. Josh Rojas is for the sickos. And yet there he is with the big hit. The 2-run single punched right up the middle through the drawn-in infield, using the mound like a like a ramp on Mario Kart to just launch into center field for the game-winning hit. Every button was the right one for Matt Quatraro and the Royals in that ninth inning. And Alex Lang walked the tightrope but got the final out in the ninth. And when you add it all up, you can't help but chuckle about that one because you spend 4+ hours of your evening watching a last-place team, and the hero's not, Bobby Witt Jr. or Vinny or Salvi or one of those guys. The hero's the guy who wasn't on the team 24 hours ago. And if you're one of the diehards out there, maybe that's a name you know. Maybe that's a guy you're aware of. And you just can't help but laugh a little bit, right? Josh Rojas, who knew? Who'd have thunk it? He's the hero. It's his game. And it rewards your patience and it rewards your presence. That is the thing about being a baseball fan. If we can get, big picture existential here for a second, the 162 game season, unless the rare instance where you are one of the 4 or 5 worst teams in the history of baseball. So this does not apply to fans of the 2024 White Sox or the what was that Tigers team that lost all those games? 2003, I think, or the 2025 Rockies. Ask me how I know. Outside of those extreme circumstances, even in the down seasons, even sometimes in the 100-loss seasons, there are going to be those nights when you are around, when you are dialed in, when the ball game is on, because that's what you do, is you put the ball game on. That's the kind of fan you are. Win, lose, whatever, the ball game's on. And when you got the ball game on and Josh Rojas gets the game-winning hit in Minneapolis in the bottom of the ninth at 10:30 on a random Thursday night in June in a losing season, that one's for you. The happy moments, the shared moments of joy in those winning seasons, those playoff years, those championship years in Royals history, those belong to everybody. But a game-winning seeing eye single by Josh Rojas, that one's for you. So salute to the diehards. Salute to the sickos out there. That one was for you last night. That was your faith and your patience and your presence being rewarded with a goofy little Royals win in the Twin Cities. So that's 3 of 4 now for the Royals in June, since this road trip started in the worst possible fashion with that sweep in Texas. And this is a gettable series because the Twins aren't a particularly great baseball team. And now you've won the first of 4. So now it's, you win 2 of the next 3, you win the series. It's not, we have to be honest about this, a schedule full of heavyweights that awaits the Royals in June. And if I've said it once about this team, I've said it a dozen times. This is a front-running baseball team. And those kinds of wins last night, rain-soaked, come from behind, even the go-ahead run in the 6th scores on something stupid, right? The second baseman, the shortstop collide on a pop-up just behind second base on Bobby Witt Jr.'s weak pop-up that should have ended the inning, and that allows Carter Jensen, who had doubled home the tying runs, to score the go-ahead run in the 6th right before the rain postponement there. Something like that. A break, a bounce that should never go your way but does. Those are the kinds of things that a group of front runners like the Royals have can draft off for a little bit. And what we have seen even this year, even that stretch late April through early May with these Royals is, and you can go back to last year, you can go back to the year before that. When the Royals do get it rolling, it tends to last a little while. A Royals hot streak, and again, there's been precisely one of them this year. So nobody's overreacting to 3 wins in 4. But a Royals hot streak has tended to look a little more like last year when they won 16 out of 18 in late April and early May, right? They had another hot run like that last year in July. They had some hot runs, obviously, 2 years ago when they won 86 games and won a wild card berth. That's just kind of how this team is wired. And There's nothing like a silly win like last night where you get the bounce, you get the breaks, you have to sit through a rain delay in the middle of it, that can lift the spirit of a clubhouse that has struggled and maybe sets the table for a little bit of a run here. Something that could put some wind in this Royals team sails. Now, they're buried, right? They're so far under 500 that they're going to have to be hot for 3 weeks to a month to even think about seeing the other side of the 500 mark. We are not overreacting here. We are not selling playoff tickets after 3 wins in 4 games to start a new month. But I do think that the Royals could be poised for a nice week to 2 to maybe 3 week stretch, because that has been the character of this team, that when it starts to roll downhill in a positive way, it can really, really roll. It's a tougher ask for this current group. One, because, I mean, we've seen what they were before this start of June, and they don't have a great bullpen, and their 2 best starting pitchers are still not on the mound for them. But we have seen this team get on hot streaks, and it feels like one, maybe not long enough to ultimately matter, but it feels like one could be around the corner for this front-running group of Royals. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, get your thoughts. Text line 785-272-9429 is the number. Can also interact in the live chat on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. We got Matt Derrick, our Chiefs insider from ChiefsDigest.com, coming up in about 10 minutes or so. We're going to talk some KU baseball. They're super regional. Andy Weingarten's going to join us to preview the Belmont Stakes. We got a full show today. I'm sure glad you're along for the ride on this Friday on 580 Sports Talk. .330 on 580 Sports Talk. My name is Dan Lucero. Glad you're with us on this Friday afternoon. Royals winners last night, 8-6. A couple of different texters have a very similar question that we're going to get to in just a second here. One from the text line here from the 785. I'm an out-of-town team baseball sicko who's still in for all 162 Royals games. I may have a problem. Listen, brother, if you have a problem, then I got one right next to you. Because You guys know I grew up and have the unfortunate affliction of Colorado Rockies fandom, but now I'm dialed for the Royals under 62 games a year. Trust me. I obviously, bedtime for a 2-year-old interrupts some of the game watching sometimes. I can't be in front of the television for every single pitch. That's what the video room is for. That's what the DVR is for. That's what the condensed games are for. But no, I'm right there with you. And we welcome all kinds. Whether you're a casual fan who's only really interested if the Royals are good, and then if they're not, you give up on them and you start counting the days until training camp. We're here for you. If you're one of the sickos, trust me, and if you're a baseball sicko especially, I can relate to you as well as I can relate to anyone. You and I are kindred spirits. We're here for you too. We're here for all kinds. This show takes all kinds. Big Ten, 580 Sports Talk. That texter had a question, and JB has the same question in the live chat on YouTube. Are the Royals going to win enough now so we don't want to blow most of it up? That's a big assumption to make after 3 wins in 4. Again, we're trying not to get too far out over our skis. There's a famous line from Pulp Fiction where, gosh, I can never remember the character's name. It's been a long time. I need a refresher. But they accidentally kill the guy in the back of the car, Jules and John Travolta's character, whose name is eluding me. They kill the guy in the back of the car, and I forget his name too. But the gun goes off, and it's a whole mess. It's an awful thing. Anyway, they get the wolf in to clean it up, and the wolf says something in that movie that I cannot repeat or really even sanitize enough for radio. The best I can do is let's start patting each other's backs just yet. I feel like that's probably the TV edit. Let's not start patting each other's backs just yet. We're not going to pat ourselves on the back for 3 wins in 4 games for the Royals. But, I do think they could go on a run here where they win, 10 of 13. That's not out of the question. 1, they've already done that. And 2, they don't really play a menacing portion of the schedule here coming up. Could they go on a run like that and maybe get to within, heaven forfend, 10 games of the 500 mark? Yeah, that's probably a reasonable thing that this team could do. That's not going to get them real close to the postseason, though. They're a long, long way from doing that. And to be frank, for everyone outside of probably Colorado, the trade deadline decision you're not going to make until July 1st. The Rockies know what time it is. They knew what time it was when the season started. They got the worst record in the National League. They kind of knew that was going to be the deal. So everything they do, even starting now, is all right. Yeah, we are open for business. Everybody else has till the start of July to figure out whether they're going to be open for business or not. So the Royals don't have to make that decision firm and fast yet. They're going to have a scalding hot month of June to even have that as a conversation. Because right now, obviously, when you're at the bottom of the league, you are a seller. Whether you want to be or not, that's what you are. And if the Royals still find themselves there at the end of June, then that's where they will be when things turn to July. Is it entirely out of the question that, you look at the teams they play this month, could they go 18-9 in June? Honestly, it would surprise me in the sense that the bullpen stinks. Their 2 best starting pitchers are down. But just looking at the schedule, would that be crazy if they won 2/3 of their games for a month? It's the American League, man. Weird stuff is happening all over the place. But even that wouldn't get them but 6-7 games back of 500. So you're still a long way from being where you need to be buyers. So I still lean, right now today, if you had asked me to predict how things are going to go, I still think the Royals will be in a spot early to mid-July where they say, yeah, we got to move some guys. We got to take calls on Michael Wacha. We got to take calls on Seth Lugo. We got to take calls on, I don't know. We got to take calls on Alex Lang. We got to take calls on our guys. I still think that's probably the direction this thing goes. But who knows? They go 18-9 this month. Maybe it's a different conversation. One guy whose name might come up if he keeps doing what he's doing, Michael Massey. hitting .311 with a .557 slug in his last 18 games, 3 home runs on this road trip, and playing some good defense over at second base. I am respectfully noticing Michael Massey. And Massey is interesting to me. I think he's more interesting to me as a trade chip. Left-handed power, can play up the middle, can also play the outfield. Like, that's a piece. Like, I don't know that I feel like, yes, second base is Michael Massey's for the next 3-4 years. However, I think he's already in arbitration. So he's only got like a couple years of team control left. Like, I don't necessarily feel like you need to save second base for Michael Massey. That could be a guy he takes phone calls on and might be able to fetch a little something for, if indeed you're dead and buried by the time late July rolls around. Swinging a good bat right now. Probably the hottest bat in the Royals lineup. Matt Derrick joins us next. We are joined on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline by Matt Derrick, our Chiefs insider here on 580 Sports Talk. Matt is a beat writer for the Chiefs for ChiefsDigest.com. You can find him on all manner of social media just by searching for his name, Matt Derrick. You can catch him on the 41 is the Mike podcast. You can hear him every Monday at this time here on 580 Sports Talk. Matt, OTAs once again open to the media on Wednesday. And if there was one thing that stuck with you from the open to the media portion of OTAs on Wednesday that you saw, that you witnessed, what was it?
I think I'd have to go with just a couple of the receivers looking pretty good. I thought Xavier Worthy had a really good day, and that's the second week in a row we can say that, I think. And I continue to be really impressed with Cyrus Allen. I thought the receivers overall had pretty good effort, but those two guys in particular continue to stand out, Dan.
We'll start with Xavier Worthy first. Obviously, he's getting the chance to get some more wide receiver number 1 reps here at OTAs with Rashee Rice still hanging out in the clink. But what do you think the ceiling is for Xavier Worthy, given the fact that, you know, there are some physical gifts that he has, his incredible speed, but they're also, given his build, some physical limitations. He's coming off of all of the injuries last year. So I don't know that we've seen a fully realized version of Xavier Worthy yet in this Chiefs offense. What do you think that looks like in a best case scenario where he's kind of the number 2, he's Rashee Rice's running mate? Again, this best case scenario here for the Chiefs in 2026. What do you think a fully realized, fully actualized Xavier Worthy looks like?
Yeah, I mean, to me, I think what you're really, if you're hoping to get the really best out of Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy, I'm kind of looking at them as being a bit of a Tyreek Hill and Sammy Watkins duo. I mean, Worthy is not like Sammy Watkins. I mean, different body type, certainly, everything like that. But as far as what he's capable of production-wise, I mean, Tyreek put up the big numbers. He could be the 1,200-yard guy, and that's that's Rashee Rice. I mean, he can be that kind of guy. I mean, the Chiefs believe he's a true number one. So what's Xavier Worthy as a number two? I mean, I feel like he's in that 800 to 1,000-yard category. If he can stay healthy, there's a lot of things he could do. And, he and Mahomes during 7-on-7, had an absolutely incredible connection on a back shoulder throw that, we saw Worthy kind of working on it beforehand. He's been in practice and he's been wearing the yellow jersey. So he hasn't been in a lot of contact situations, even though they've been having him play in team periods. But remember, there's no pads or anything like this. But he hasn't been returning kicks during the warm-up portion, the stretch period, like most of the receivers and running backs do. But on Wednesday, what they had him doing was he was just doing his own little drill off to the side where there's a post, and I mean, it's actually probably looks like PVC pipe that they've built. and what he was doing is standing behind it, and then a guy was throwing him the ball either to the left or right of the pipe, and he just kind of had to catch the ball. And it was simulating back shoulder throws, and he just didn't know which side it was going to be coming from, and then had to reach around the pipe to catch the ball. And that came in handy because, like I said, I mean, it was mimicking those throws that you get on a back shoulder throw, and Mansour Delane was covering him and was absolutely all over him. I mean, Delane could not have covered him any better, but it's just like, hey, when you have the perfect back shoulder throw from a quarterback like Mahomes and you got the hands to make the play, it's exactly what Xavier Worthy did. And that was just typical of his day. He had 3 really big plays that he connected with along with Justin Fields, but that one from that back shoulder from Mahomes really stood out.
Matt Derrick of ChiefsDigest.com is our guest on 580 Sports Talk, joining us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline. Speaking of Mahomes, probably should have started there. How'd he look? He's only doing 7-on-7s, not doing 11-on-11 stuff just yet. But by and large, what impression were you left with getting to see Patrick Mahomes throw a football for the first time since mid-December?
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, just doing 7-on-7, but again, was virtually perfect. He actually had a couple of incompletions this time. He only had one incompletion that I tracked last week in the open period, and he had a couple, but one was a tight end. Trey Watson just dropped the ball. There was another one where Mansour Delane got a break up against Tyquan Thornton. That was just good defense. Hit another deep ball that was on a broken play that he took a shot at Worthy downfield. And there was another one where Jaden Hicks just absolutely high pointed and elevated the ball and almost got the pick, couldn't get his hands on it. But, again, I mean, it was a ball that Mahomes put it where it had to be, and Jaden Hicks just made an incredible play on it. Throwing the ball, he looks great, really does. Now, he's not doing a lot of things yet. He's not cutting. He's not escaping anybody. There's no 11-on-11, so he's not facing a pass rush or anything. He's got a lot of steps to still go through, but remember, he's got 3 months plus until the beginning of the season, and it's easy to project what you're seeing right now and saying, okay, this guy's going to be ready for week 1. I don't know what he's going to look like. I doubt that he's going to look like full Patrick Mahomes. He's going to have that brace. He's probably going to be a different quarterback this year and not be a guy that's going to rush for 450 yards and scramble a lot. He's going to have to stay in the pocket and maybe be a little bit different quarterback. But I'll tell you what, I don't know if that's a bad thing. I mean, if this is Mahomes, needs to be able to stay in the pocket and kind of just consistently be there and kind of focus on his fundamentals and everything. I mean, I think this offense might take some steps forwards if it's just him relying more on his teammates to help him out.
Our guest is Matt Derrick of ChiefsDigest.com here on 580 Sports Talk. He's our Chiefs insider on the program, joins us every Monday. A lot of positive buzz, it sounds like, on the other side of the ball for the rookies on the defensive line. Peter Woods and R. Mason Thomas, the former first-round pick inside, and the latter, the second-round pick out on the edge. What kind of things are people saying, coaches saying about that rookie duo, and what expectations do you think there are going to be for those two as far as what they're going to need to contribute to a pass rush that's lost some juice the last couple of years?
Yeah, I mean, the thing that stands out both of them and what you hear the most is just the quickness and the get off that both of them have, and that's what they live on. Especially R. Mason Thomas, being the size that he is, since he is a little bit undersized. he thrives on quickness and being able to get the jump on tackles from the outside and being able to get around them. You know, right now, this time of year, when you don't have pads and you're really just barely using your hands and it's mostly footwork that you're able to use against other guys on the line, you know, you're not learning a lot. We'll find out more when these guys put the pads on and we're seeing them go after each other a little bit. We'll see how they stand up, especially R. Mason Thomas. But so far, both of them look like they're getting the jump and the push that they need, especially when they're going up against their number one counterparts. You know, Woods going up against Trey Smith and Creed Humphrey. I mean, that's a little bit of iron sharpens iron. And, you know, with Woods, the other thing that obviously we hear people talk about is just his size. You know, he and Kyrie's Tonga are both big guys. I'm not sure that they're necessarily as big as Derrick Nottie and Mike Pennell were last year. But when you take their size, all three of these guys that we're talking about now, you take their sizes with their speed and quickness, it's a big difference from what the Chiefs have had in the past, especially the last few years and definitely a year ago. I mean, they are going to be, they should be a better team against the pass. They should have more quickness. They should have more explosion. But I don't think they're going to leave a lot on the ground as far as the run game either, because these guys right now, I mean, they all seem to show the ability. They whether it's R. Mason Thomas, you know, truly setting the edge in a run defense situation, or even Peter Woods just being, you know, a little bit of a run stuffer. Right now, I mean, they both show the traits that can do that. We're just going to need to see once they get to training camp and it gets more physical, if they can keep up.
Eric Bieniemy was one of the assistants that spoke to the media when you guys had the media availability on Wednesday. All the coordinators spoke, and a handful of the assistants as well. Anything that EB said particularly kind of jump out at you?
You know, I thought it was really refreshing. I mean, you know, Eric Bieniemy is always a guy that speaks his mind, but I felt like he was maybe a little bit more unfiltered Wednesday than maybe we've seen him in the past. I thought he was always, you know, after he made the move from running backs coach to OC, I mean, he was definitely always unfiltered as a running backs coach. But I thought when he became offensive coordinator that he kind of got a little bit into coach speak and was trying to handle things the way that he thought that NFL owners want an offensive coordinator to talk and act if they want to be a head coach. And I don't know. I thought it was just a little bit freer Eric Bieniemy that was just kind of speaking his mind, because I think he delivered some hard truths. I mean, and he tried to coach them in, you know, some softer terms, but I don't think I thought you parsed some of his statements. And I mean, he was kind of calling out the team a little bit last year for maybe not having enough accountability and not, you know, doing the little things right. I mean, the fact that he said at one point was talking about how it's kind of high schoolish, but, you know, he talked about taking this team back to doing the fundamentals right and just getting those little details down. I mean, that's what Eric Bieniemy specializes in. And I think he certainly, I thought, came on pretty much almost all the way to the brink of saying, hey, I watched this team on film last year, and this was a fundamentally flawed team. You know, they weren't doing the little things right. And that's what he wants to get this team doing right this year.
It's something that Bieniemy talked about. Mahomes has talked about it in the context of why he's happy to have Eric Bieniemy back in the building. Travis Kelce has said much the same on his podcast about that's why he's glad that Eric Bieniemy is back in the building. Why do you think things slipped the way they did on the offensive side of the ball? Was it purely maybe mental fatigue for a team that had been to 3 straight Super Bowls? Was it something else that you would point to? And in what way is Bieniemy maybe uniquely suited to make sure that the Chiefs do get those little things right on offense in 2026?
Yeah, I rarely think, Dan, that when things go poorly that it's ever just one thing. It's usually when a lot of things go wrong. And, you know, and we saw this team, I think, even over the last couple of years, go back to 24 in particular. You know, they were 15-2, but we all agree that wasn't a 15-2 team. They had things going wrong, but they just had enough things going right that it kind of masked it. Last year, we got to see it all out there. And I do think that, you know, it wasn't just execution. It wasn't just, you know, the attention to detail. I think it was also that the deep runs in the playoffs had really kind of made the offense a bit stale because they couldn't make the wholesale changes from year to year that they would normally want. I mean, we've talked about it before. You know, you're playing until mid-February, And 2 weeks later, you're at the combine. You don't really have much time to change the offense and fix some things. And they needed to after the Super Bowl loss to the Eagles. They had a lot of stuff that they did that was just exposed and couldn't fix it. They knew that they got a little long in the tooth and didn't have talent at certain positions, running back, chief amongst them. And there were some other spots too where they just kind of broke down a little bit. And yeah, fatigue, I think that was also a factor too. But I don't think you can't overlook attrition as well. They lost some guys, and then, remember, that there wasn't just, guys getting promoted, but guys like Greg Lewis leaving for other jobs. And, they had people move on up and they were promoting from within. But, when you look at where they were with the staff in maybe 2019 versus where they were in 2024, and you just all of a sudden had a really young, inexperienced staff that maybe wasn't quite built for the team that they had. And like I said, nobody wants to knock, Connor Embry or Todd Pinkston, anybody like that. But, I think they were just miscast. I don't think they're bad coaches. I think they were just in tough positions. They've gone out and brought in some heavy hitters. They brought in some experienced coaches in those spots now that they didn't have before. I mean, they kind of retooled, especially that offensive staff where they had really lost the most attrition. And I think we're seeing right now some of the differences and the results of that can pay off, because you're hearing all the right things from the players. Everybody seems really excited and happy about guys like Chad O'Shea and DeMarco Murray and EB coming back. And I mean, can those things make a difference? Yeah, I think absolutely they can.
Matt Derrick covers the Kansas City Chiefs for ChiefsDigest.com, and he is our Chiefs insider here on 580 Sports Talk, bringing the goods on the Floating Place Wine and Spirits hotline every Friday at this time. Matt, always a pleasure. We'll do it again next week.
Sounds great, Dan. Take care, my friend.
That is Matt Derrick. We'll step aside for a timeout, come back with On Second Thought to wrap up this 3 o'clock hour of 580 Sports Talk. On second thought, Jerry Glasgow, maybe you should have started Nyjah Kennedy in Game 1 of the Women's College World Series Championship Series, huh? Texas won the national championship last night, second straight year. Texas Tech denied at the final hurdle for a second straight year. Nyjah Kennedy will go down as one of the all-time greats in the history of college softball. And she made us all proud here in the capital city of Topeka. But the national championship ring eluded her in her 2 years at Stanford, now her 2 years at Texas Tech. And coming off of a 2-hit shutout performance in the clincher 2 days before, going to game one, you give the ball to the lefty. And all due respect, not like, Kalen Terry's chopped liver or anything, but you sure pitched like it. Game one. That game was over before Nyjah took the mound. And then Kennedy pitched great last night. Bad error behind her cost Texas Tech 2 runs in what ended up being a defeat. The 2 runs were too much for Tech to come back from, and there's just not a lot of margin for error against that Texas pitching staff. But yeah, I think that was probably the wrong button to push, Coach Glasgow. All that money, all that expense, all that NIL for softball. Second place. That's hard to swallow. And I'll be frank. I put on coaching. I put it on Jerry Glasgow's shoulders. And I wonder if the boosters might feel the same way down there Lubbock way. I don't think Cody Campbell spent all that money to finish as the runner-up. Not just to anybody, the runner-up to Texas. I bet he did not appreciate the lack of ROI there. And maybe it could have been different if you'd started your best pitcher in game one of the freaking championship series. Don't know. I've never been to the College World Series, so maybe I don't know anything. Who's to say? Coming over the 4 o'clock hour, the Jayhawks are 2 wins away from the Men's College World Series. We'll talk about that, preview the Super Regional against Oklahoma. We also got What Is Wrong With You and a Belmont Stakes preview with our horse racing expert, Andy Weingarten, on 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. Down number 2 of 580 Sports Talk on this Friday. Dan Lucero, Spencer Dupuis with you on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and on our streaming video channels, 580 Sports Talk on YouTube and WIBW News on Facebook. However you're finding the program today, however you're tuning in, watching, whenever. Maybe you're catching the archive or the podcast on 580WIBW.com or on our Spotify. Search 580 Sports Talk on Spotify to find us. However you're catching the show, we appreciate you being a part of the program today. If you follow WIBW News on Facebook, you may be aware that today is a notable day in the history of not just 580 WIBW, but all of the radio stations here in our Huntoon Hill studios, 94.5 WIBW FM, 98.5 Jack FM, KSCJ, and
the radio networks.
KTPK. I'm getting through the radio stations first. I'm not going to leave anybody out here. KTPK, Country 106.9 FM, and of course the Kansas Ag Network and the Kansas Information Networks. Today, the purchase was completed. We are now Many Signals Communications stations after, well, what was it? 8-9 months under the Connoisseur banner.
I guess so.
Connoisseur Media banner following their acquisition of our previous parent company, Alpha Media. We are now, for the first time in what I understand, and I haven't been around for all of it, but for the first time for what I understand to be at least a quarter century, to be under local Northeast Kansas ownership here at 580 WIBW. So that is hugely exciting for many different reasons that to enumerate them would take a lot of time here on this Friday, but that is the big news of the day. You'll hear that in our sounders, in our top of the hour IDs, that we are now a Many Signals communication station, 580 WIBW and FM 104.9. We're still here. Like they said, they sold the stations and they said, well, we're keeping those Yahoos from 3 to 6 on 580. So we're still here. We're staying around. We are going to continue to maintain our rights that we have had over the years, our broadcast rights of the Kansas City Royals and the Kansas City Chiefs and the Kansas State Wildcats and the Washburn Ichabods and local high school coverage. Nothing fundamentally changes about what we do. We just now do it under local ownership, and
which is the best way to do it.
I have worked in radio for now going on 18 years, and I have been corporately owned. I have been locally owned, and by far the best products, the best times that I've had working for radio stations has been under local ownership. So this is an exciting day for us. This is an exciting day for our stations. This is an exciting day for WIBW and for the Big 94.5 Country and for Jack FM and Country 106.9. We're rooted even deeper here locally in Topeka and in Northeast Kansas. We are not going anywhere. We are proud of this day and proud of these stations, and we're very excited. This is a very exciting day for us here. So, but that maybe you saw that today. Again, if you follow us on Facebook, WIBW News on Facebook, you saw the announcement. And I, for one, welcome our new local owners. Owners. Gotta be.
Hey, I know they listen to our show too.
They're sports fans. All of our owners.
I've gotten messages. In the last couple weeks of, hey, I heard you were talking about this. I know this information. If you would like to add this.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Well, shoot, they got my number too, man. They can drop me a note anytime they'd like.
Well, it was yesterday and you weren't here.
Yes, fair enough. Yeah, that is fair. I took yesterday off. I'm taking a powder early today as well. It's my son's birthday weekend. My son is 2.
I can't believe that. It's like the whole entire summer of 2024 was crazy because I was still learning this place.
Right. You were still the new guy.
And then I got to be the new guy in something else while you were going off and having a kid and took some time off. And then Brendan, and it was that whole summer of 2024 was crazy.
My wife would like to note that I'm sure would like me to note that I did not have the kid.
Well, yes.
That was her doing the quite literal hard labor. But yes, that was a whirlwind. And it's
which is crazy because it started basically everything that like summer of 2024. What happened then, especially over the overarching in our work jobs,
yes,
basically led to today
under our prior ownership. Yes,
led to today. So like I'm happy about that. Like in the end, like
yet another reason why we are again thrilled to be under local ownership once again for the first time in at least a quarter century here.
And we might have some cool stuff coming up too.
Yeah, we certainly nothing's going to change. If anything changes, it's going to be changed for the better.
Yeah,
is what I can tell you. If anything changes, it's going to be changed for the better around here as far as our sports coverage goes. So thanks for being with us. Thanks for hanging with us. And yes, thank you for everybody who has listened to us through the many, many iterations of the history of this station. Maybe you remember when it was Morris Communications. Maybe you remember way back before when it was locally owned. We have a texter from 785 who remembers that his grandfather was a chief engineer at WIBW Radio for about 25 years, over 25 years. So some of you go way, way back with this radio station. And there's a lot of history here. And we're going to continue to make that history and going to get to do it under local ownership, which we're all really, really excited about.
As we go into 100 years of 580 WIBW.
Next year, I believe, is the big 100. This radio station will be a centenarian. It'll be 100 years old next year. So looking forward to that. You can interact with the program today. 785-272-9429 is the text line number. 785-272-9429. You can also interact with us in the live chat on our YouTube channel. 580 Sports Talk is the name of the channel. And we are live on YouTube whenever we are live on the airwaves, 3 to 6 Central Time over on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. Go subscribe to the YouTube channel if you have yet to do so. Doesn't cost you anything but a click or a tap of your screen. Coming up later on in this 4 o'clock hour, we have got a Belmont Stakes preview with the great Andy Weingarten. 38 years of providing insight into horse racing's Triple Crown on 580 WIBW. He joined Brendan Wierzinski, our Brendan Wierzinski, earlier today for a conversation and a preview of the third leg of the Triple Crown. Obviously, won't be a Triple Crown winner this year because the Kentucky Derby winner did not run the Preakness for the second straight year. But the third leg of the Triple Crown coming up on this weekend. And Brendan talked to Andy Weingarten, formerly of WIBW TV and Wave 3 television in Louisville. That is coming up. Also, we will crown a weekly champion on What Is Wrong With You. Still later on in the show, we'll have headlines, including a playoff roundup. We will hear from Dan Fitzgerald and
select players.
That's a good way to put it. From Kansas baseball's press conference earlier today, one day out of their super regional game 1 against Oklahoma. And Spencer will do a little AMA to go into the weekend because, come on, y'all aren't working. So why should he?
Yeah, I mean, it might be a very quick AMA.
That's fine. That's totally fine.
But hey.
Anyhow, again, 785-272-9429 is the number, and you can get at us on YouTube, 580 Sports Talk. Speaking of that super regional, Kansas is 2 wins from Omaha, and standing in their way, an Oklahoma team that didn't win a single game at the SEC tournament this year. And on paper, this looks really good for Kansas. This looks like a really good matchup for the Kansas Jayhawks. And they get to do it at home in front of the Rowdies at Hoagland Ballpark, in front of a packed backyard and whatever backyard part 2 electric boogaloo they figure out.
The backyard
out there
decks.
In right field. Yeah, they're hearing there might be some things out in right field going on. Whatever they got going on this weekend, that joint is going to be jumping. And that atmosphere, I think, can only benefit the Jayhawks. They will try and follow in the footsteps of West Virginia, who is now 1 win away from Omaha, their Big 12 brethren, as they took it to Cal Poly earlier today in the first of the super regional games, a 12-2 victory for the Mountaineers in Morgantown. They're also underway in Chapel Hill and Troy. Bottom of the sixth, number 5 national seed North Carolina trails USC 6-5 in what has been a wild game. They are just underway in the Troy Super Regional. Little Rock out to a 1-0 lead over the host Troy Trojans. 1-0, that game in the top of the first. The late game tonight, the number 4 seed Auburn hosting Ole Miss. Tomorrow, of course, KU and Oklahoma at 5 p.m. The other super regionals that began tomorrow. Number 3, Georgia hosting number 14, Mississippi State. That'll be a 10 a.m. first pitch tomorrow in Athens. Number 6 national seed Texas hosting the number 11 national seed Oregon. That's a 7 o'clock start. And then the late game tomorrow, an 8 o'clock start in Tuscaloosa. So that's 8 Eastern out there as the number 7 national seed Alabama plays St. John's.
And then Sunday, they got to play at noon or 11.
Yeah, quick turnaround for game 2 of that super regional for sure.
Lucky.
Yeah, KU got a pretty decent draw. KU and Oklahoma, both teams play at the same time. But yeah, having the 5 o'clock start times for Saturday and Sunday are pretty nice. It'll be, we all anticipate, Dominic Bagley on the mound for Kansas tonight. He's had a terrific final month and change of his season. Oklahoma is going with a young man by the name of Cord Rager.
What a name. All name theme.
I think that's what, that's another name for a LAN party, isn't it? A Cord Rager.
Yeah.
Left-hander Cord Rager. LJ Mercurius is the projected game 2 starter for Oklahoma. Those are definitely names. LJ has a brother on the OU roster named Xander Mercurius. That's like out of the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
That's something like or something George Lucas would come up with. Anyway, that's college baseball for you. So, some of the names that you bump into on a college baseball roster are they weren't considerations when my wife and I were naming our son. Let's just we didn't think, well, what about Cord? Like that wasn't one that ever occurred to us. Anyway, so those probably going to be the pitching matchups. Rager versus Vaguely tonight. Mercurius against Mason Cook, not tonight, Saturday night. Mason Cook will likely go game 2 for the Jayhawks on Sunday. And Vaguely might be, and I think if you're previewing this from the Oklahoma perspective, you probably say Cord Rager is in a similar vein. The most important guy in a best-of-3 series is your game 1 starting pitcher. Because if you can get length from your game 1 starting pitcher and you're not having to scramble into your middle relief, or if you're in a close game, like right now, that North Carolina USC game, right? That's up for grabs. 6-5 in the 6th. You got to think both teams might turn to some of their best bullpen arms in the middle innings of that game, ask a lot of them, and then maybe have to turn around and get into them in game 2 and a potential game 3. That's a position you'd rather not be in. You'd much rather be in a spot where your starter, your game 1 starter in a super regional, gives you 6 or 7 innings, and you're asking for 6 or 9 outs. And you can then more realistically lean on your best bullpen arms. Kansas, obviously, that's Bodie Ray on the back end and Ryan Ritter, who bounced back from kind of a rough end of the regular season with a really good showing in regional play.
And in the game against West Virginia, I believe, in the Big 12 tournament, or some point in the Big 12 tournament, he really turned the corner.
Yeah.
What Fitzgerald was saying.
So you want to get to those guys. Vaguely worked deep in his last start. Rager, for his part, Cord Rager. Give me a break. I can't get over that. That is a human being's name. Anyway, he went 6 in his super regional start with 8 strikeouts against the Citadel. It was the number 3 seed, I believe, in that Georgia Tech super regional. So he's coming off of a good start, showed the ability to get a little bit of length as well. But this Kansas lineup, top to bottom, more depth than the Oklahoma lineup. And Oklahoma's power is what got them over the top in that Georgia Tech super regional or Georgia Tech regional. Every time they needed a big inning, they got it with the long ball. And that would not be what you would expect if you just go and you look and, I want to learn about Oklahoma's baseball team. I go look at their season stats. They got two guys who entered super regional play with double-digit home runs. Just two guys with double-digit home runs. Dayton LaChance is their best hitter. He's their catcher, and he's the best stick in their lineup.
All weird name team.
Yeah, that's Deiten LaChance. They've also got a Dayton Dayton in the lineup. That's Dayton Taki. He hit the walk-off home run to beat Georgia Tech in the regional, so if that's a name you've heard. They've also got a Jackson with an X. Yeah. They have Cord Rager. It's college baseball, man. It's just, that's where the all-name team in college baseball is typically pretty mind-blowing. But anyway, enough about the names. This Oklahoma team didn't really flash a bunch of power over the course of SEC play. They had a losing record in the SEC. They lost their opening tournament game at the SEC tournament to an LSU team that didn't even make the NCAA tournament. But they appeared to be maybe getting hot at the right time over the weekend, and it was big power swings from the likes of LaChance and Taki and Jackson Willits, whose younger brother Eli was number 1 overall pick of the draft last year by the Washington Nationals. Their dad Reggie, former big leaguer, is on the Oklahoma coaching staff. So for Kansas, I think if you're going to keep this Oklahoma lineup in check, you just want to make sure the ball stays in the yard. That's generally a pretty important factor in a best-of-3 series where one big swing can swing a game in a series. But keeping Oklahoma in the yard really feels like it's going to be hypercritical for Kansas this weekend, because Oklahoma in the regional was able to put up the crooked numbers thanks to the long ball, but they were not a long ball hitting team. They had 81 home runs as a team this year, a 477 slugging percentage. For comparison's sakes, KU hit 125 home runs this year as a team and had a 522 slugging percentage and have much more power balance up and down their order, where, again, with OU, you've only got two guys on the lineup who have double-digit home runs to their name this season. So for me, that's the factor, is keep Oklahoma from putting up the crooked number via the home run and get that starting pitching depth, particularly in game one, from Bagley. If Kansas gets 7 innings from Bagley tonight and they can go out and they can win tomorrow night in game one, thank you, and have a low-stress game one win, they're in dreamland. Like, if you get a wild game one and you got to burn through like 6 or 7 pitchers, you win it, you almost feel more relieved than anything else. You'd like a low-stress game one win if you can get it. The other thing, obviously, the other factor, I think, in this series, if there were 3 keys to the series, I'd pinpoint starting pitching length, especially early in the series tomorrow night, and keeping Oklahoma away from the long ball. The lights did not seem, and we talked about this on Monday, the lights did not seem too bright for Kansas in the regional. They embraced being the home team, having this atmosphere at the Hog, having the opportunity to do something that no team at Kansas had ever gotten to do before in the NCAA tournament, and didn't at any point during the tournament feel overawed by the moment. Even in a situation where you would have been forgiven if they had been sent reeling a little bit when they fell behind big on Sunday, Arkansas jumped out to that 5-0 lead. Kansas had a counterpunch. They never lost their footing. They always seemed to keep their wits about them, and that's going to be really important here because Omaha is close enough to taste for a program that has not frequently tasted Omaha. Oklahoma, a little bit more familiar as a program, expectation-wise, with this stage. And they're going to come in like they did to Atlanta as, hey, we got nothing to lose. We're the underdogs. We're on the road. Let it fly. Swing hard in case we hit it. Kansas has to maintain that relative even keel. And that's hard to do in college baseball when the emotions run so high. And it's especially hard to do in a super regional. But I think this Kansas team can do it. I think they're experienced enough. They're old enough They got an old team. They got a bunch of guys who played a lot of JUCO baseball.
Yeah, that JUCO, I mean, when you play JUCO, man, like you are built different, right? If you last JUCO and get to the next level, like you're built different.
I think so. I think there's something to be said for that, something for their broad experience, having been a positive for them, been something that was helpful for them through the regional. 2 wins away from being the Omahawks for the first time in program history. For the record, Jamie Plunkett of the Base 12 newsletter, which I have recommended to any Big 12 baseball fan, whether you're K-State baseball fan, KU, you just follow the Big 12, want to follow college baseball, want to be smarter about college baseball, you should go subscribe to Jamie Plunkett's Base 12 newsletter. His metrics give Kansas a 71% chance to win this series, which is pretty high for a super regional to have those kinds of odds. Just to give you an idea, West Virginia against a 4 seed from out west, only a 66% chance to win their super regional based on the metrics.
And they blew them out today.
And they blew out Cal Poly in game 1. So
if that says anything,
it's all in front of Kansas. And all they have to do is not be overawed by that moment. And I think they're going to be just fine. I think they've got a little something for Cord Rager tonight. Tomorrow night. I'm
ahead of yourself.
I'm a day ahead. I've been trying to plan my wife would dispute how much I'm a part of the planning process, but we got a birthday party for my kid tomorrow. We've been thinking about. So
she's the real MVP in this.
She is the real MVP. Not in this, in everything. Shout out to the husbands out there who recognize that about their spouses. We'll take a break here on 580 Sports Talk. When we come back, we'll crown a weekly champion on What Is Wrong With You. What is wrong with you time on 580 Sports Talk? 2 new stories competing today to try and take down our current champ, a fish called Baja Blast. Guy outside of a Taco Bell with his pants down at 1 a.m. and a fish in his back pocket. Well, no, in his backpack, excuse me. Fish in his back pocket would be wild, especially with the pants down. And he really cramped space in the back pocket.
What was that one story we had? Matthew Pancake.
Yeah, the gerbils in his pants, in his leotard. It was a onesie. It was not leotard. It was a onesie. Yeah, Matthew Pancake, all time. What is wrong with you, legend? This guy, very much in the same vein. The fish was rescued unharmed and christened Baja Blast naturally, and so that's why that's the name of the story. A fish called Baja Blast. 2 new stories today. I will go first. We're going to the Pittsburgh area in Pennsylvania, where a Greene County man is behind bars after police say a dispute with his son spiraled into a criminal investigation. Investigators say the confrontation happened at a home in South Franklin Township in Washington County when a son ran from a property along Park Avenue after his father pointed a gun at his head, allegedly, and threatened to shoot him. Now the father, 56-year-old George Weaver, is facing serious charges. According to court documents, Weaver and his son got into an argument over a weed whacker, and it quickly escalated. I guess. It escalated to the point where the father produced a pistol from his waistband and threatened to shoot his son in the head. Fearing for his life, the son ran from the property and called the police. De-escalating the situation, says Chief William DeForte of the Regional Police Department, by immediately exiting the vehicle and running away. Yes, that is how you de-escalate. Court documents also allege that Weaver threatened to return with someone else to, quote, finish the job. Pennsylvania State Police later found Weaver, took him into custody. Court records show his permit to carry a firearm had been expired for years. He remains behind bars in the Washington County Jail. You know, some people, I know not everybody's got a great relationship with their parents. I understand. You know, I don't take for granted. I'm fortunate. My dad's in town. My folks are in town for my son's birthday this weekend. I played golf with my dad this morning. 18 holes. Had a great time.
What'd you shoot?
No comment.
Did he shoot better than you?
Oh, absolutely. My dad plays like all the time. He's retired now.
That's true.
He's a 12 handicap. He is much better than me. He cleaned my clock. There was a time when I was starting to get caught up. Then I had a kid and he retired.
I was gonna say having a kid doesn't help.
Yeah, I had a kid and he retired, and now the gulf is widening. Anyhow. We have a normal relationship where we do things like play golf together and don't do things like get in a fight over a weed whacker, or he's never pulled a gun on me. I know that much. Weed wackos is what I call this story. What do you got today, Spencer?
I have a story involving the state of Florida, Walmart, and a gun. A man adjusting a holstered gun in his waistband accidentally shot himself inside the Venice, Florida Walmart on Thursday morning.
Plaxicoed himself.
Yep. According to the Sarasota County Sheriff's Office, deputies responded to the retail store Thursday morning after receiving reports of gunfire. Surveillance video captured a man entering the building with a holstered gun tucked into his waistband of his shorts. While the shopper was adjusting the weapon, deputies said the firearm discharged and struck him in the groin area. Investigators confirmed the shooting was accidental and stated there was no threat to the public. But officials have not yet confirmed the current medical condition of the wounded shopper or if he was taken to an area hospital. It is also unclear if the man will face legal charges regarding the discharge of the firearm inside the business.
Plaxico Burris went to jail.
Yeah.
So this guy is definitely going to get in trouble.
You're going to have a warrant for his arrest.
Cheddar bobbed himself in the groin, man. That is nasty work. Why you need the blick at Walmart anyway? Like,
leave it in your car.
What's going down, man? What's really going down at the Venice, Florida Walmart that you need the blicky? I don't understand that mindset. I don't. Anyway, it's 2 good ones today. Hard to beat the guy who shoots himself in the groin region with a gun at the Walmart. You see a lot of stuff at the Walmart. That is not
when you
something...
combine Walmart and Florida, that's what you get.
I guess that might be a little bit more what you expected of Florida Walmart. I do not think that beats. I think our Monday winner has made it all the way through. I think
I would agree.
A fish called Baja Blast, just chilling outside the Taco Bell, showing off. just, thinking outside the bun. And I had a fish along for the ride. I'm just glad the fish is okay. That's going to be our winner for the week on What Is Wrong With You. We come back. Brendan Wiercinski spoke earlier today with Andy Weingarten. We got a Belmont Stakes preview coming up next on 580 Sports Talk on this Friday.
Welcome back to 580 Sports Talk on this Feel Good Friday afternoon. Brendan in the booth with you. And coming up this weekend, it is leg number 3 of the Triple Crown, the Sport of Kings, the Belmont Stakes. Not that it's, happening at its typical park. We'll get to that here in just a moment. But we now welcome in our horse racing expert, our good friend, Andy Weingarten. 38 years breaking down the ponies with us here on 580 WIBW, formerly of WIBW TV here in Topeka and Wave 3 TV in Louisville. Andy, how fired up are you for the third leg?
Well, a little more than I expected to be honest with you, because I didn't realize this many Derby horses would come in. But I guess they all took, most of them took the Preakness off and are well rested. And so I think some of the best horses from the Derby are going to be in the Belmont. And I think that makes it a little more exciting than it may have been ordinarily.
So if we can start there, and I know the guys talked with you a little bit last time before the Preakness about this while I was out, but I wanted to ask about the Triple Crown and kind of the state of the idea, the concept of winning the Triple Crown. And look, I understand the finances of it and wanting to keep the horses, as healthy as possible and the short turnaround. I get all of those things, but are we getting to a point where the already extremely rare Triple Crown is going to become something of like a myth, like Cy Young's wins record or something? Because it feels like the Derby winner in recent years is barely even a consideration to run the Preakness, let alone win the whole thing.
Well, if they make a couple of changes, I think they can fix that right away. The biggest issue right now is because of the way these horses have been bred over the last 20 years. They're bred more for speed, which seems a little counterintuitive because you want to run fast anyway. But they're bred differently, and they don't run as often. It used to be you could run horses a week, 2 weeks apart. Well, when they're preparing for the Triple Crown, they're running 4 weeks apart. Yet if you win the Derby, or even if you don't win the Derby, you're expected to come back 2 weeks afterwards instead of the normal 4 weeks. And it's just not safe for the horses anymore, so they're not doing it. So what I've advocated for a decade now is what they need to do is have the Derby the first Saturday in May, have the Preakness the first Saturday in June, and the Belmont the first Saturday in July. Give them 4 or 5 weeks off between races. If you do that, I think most of these leading contenders for the Triple Crown will start running in the Preakness. But until they do that, the Derby winner is not going to run in that race anymore. In fact, most of them aren't. It's just not going to happen.
And I'm right there with you because I think that's the thing that makes the most sense. And, I'm going to watch these races regardless because I really enjoy the sport. Like I'm on a random Saturday, I'm going to turn on FS1 and I'll watch America's Day at the Races. Like I enjoy it to that degree. I'm watching anyway. But for, the average casual fan who just knows about the Derby or just knows the Triple Crown, I would imagine getting the winner involved more often is going to, help viewership, help popularity, etc. So what's the pushback on changing the schedule?
Well, there may be some TV considerations that I'm not 100% sure of. Keep in mind you've got maybe NBA and NHL. They're both finals are going on right now, so maybe that might be one consideration. One thing I've heard from people is they make the comment that if you now run them, further apart, you cheapen the accomplishment. And I don't think that's a valid I don't think that's a valid comparison. I'll give you a perfect example in baseball. Babe Ruth hits, or Roger Maris hits 61 home runs, and he hits it in 154 games because that's what the baseball schedule was. When that record was broken by Barry Bonds and Sammy Sosa, they had 162 games to hit more than 61 home runs. I don't think it cheapened their accomplishment at all. At least it didn't seem like it. So I think if everybody's running under this condition, I don't see why that would be an issue. But that's one thing that's been brought up. Sometimes, though, you've got to make the change because is it better to have them run further apart or to not have the Derby winner even consider the Preakness?
I think that's a great comparison considering, McGwire and Sosa, the home run race of 98, people say that saved baseball. So why not try to, boost the popularity of this sport with the same thing? I'm right there with you. We're talking to Andy Weingarten, our horse racing expert here on 580 Sports Talk, formerly of Wave 3 TV Louisville and WIBW TV here in Topeka. 38 years breaking down horse racing with us here on the Sports Voice of Kansas. All right, let's get to this year's edition of the Belmont. Another year where this will be at Saratoga, the construction going on, the renovations, etc. So at Saratoga again this year. What are some of the specifics of this track? Because every track is a little bit different. What is something that is specifically unique or stand out trait-wise about racing at Saratoga?
Well, there's a couple of things. The main thing for the track is that comparing it to Belmont Park is that the turns are much tighter. They're very similar to the Preakness, where the Belmont, it's wide sweeping turns. These are tighter, so it's a little bit different in that regard. That's part of why the race has to be shortened. I don't know the specifics on why they can't run it 1.5 miles at Saratoga, but they said they can't. That must have something to do with what the 1.5 mile marker would be relative to where the gate is and how the track is at that point. It's the only thing I can think of. But that would be one thing. And the other thing about Saratoga, just the view is absolutely spectacular. It's basically they took a racetrack and they put it in the middle of the woods. At least as wooded as upstate New York can be. And it's just a beautiful sight. You'll notice it when you watch the race. If you look beyond the track, all you see are trees, and it's just a beautiful sight.
You mentioned that there's a lot of horses that ran in the Derby that will be running in the Belmont. Obviously, the winner of the Kentucky Derby, Golden Tempo, the favorite from that race, Renegade, also the favorite here. We'll talk about Renegade in a moment. But among the horses that maybe we don't recognize from the Kentucky Derby, and it's a smaller field, obviously, here at the Belmont, who's a name that we should really be keeping an eye on?
That actually ran in the Derby that they haven't talked about. Chief Wallaby is getting a lot of talk this week, and in fact, the morning line, I believe he is the second choice. He was listed as the odds lower than Golden Tempo, who is the Derby winner. So Golden Tempo, at least in the morning odds, is only the third choice right now. So that would be one that would stand out from an odds perspective. There are 5 horses from the Derby that are in the Belmont, so there's only 4 new ones in there. And from what I understand, the talk this week, if there's one of the 4 that can get on the leaderboard, it's a horse called Private Equity. Private Equity would have run in the Derby, certainly had the points, but had a little bit of a minor foot injury, I think 2 weeks before the race, so he was not able to run. Hasn't run since. He actually hasn't run since March, so he's going to be very well rested.
Renegade was the favorite at the Kentucky Derby, ran a great race at the Derby, obviously. Is that a deserving favorite for this race as well?
Oh, I think so. He lost by a neck, but consider that he came out of the number 1 hole, which frankly, in a 20-horse field, because it's so far inside, it's probably the hardest post to win the Derby from now. It didn't used to be, but now that, because basically the number 1 hole, if he were to run straight and not veer to the right, he'll run right into the rail. So he has to slow down at the beginning, get a little bit outside. Then he has to pass all those horses to get back into the race, which he almost did. I mean, he actually did pass everybody, and then Golden Tempo caught him in the last few strides. So I think, yes, definitely a well-deserving favorite.
So with that in mind, then, because that's something we talked about at the time with the Kentucky Derby, you have this enormous field, and the 1 is a tough place to win from, et cetera. In such a small field, does any one particular gate have is it a bigger advantage or disadvantage than another?
No, not really. I mean, you've only got 9 horses here. I think they could stretch across the track easily and get 14 or 15 if they wanted to, but only 9 are running. So there should be no disadvantage or advantage from any post position, unless it's a post position that would hamper their racing style. Perfect example: if you're running from say the outside post and you want to get to the lead quickly, you've got to really get going at the very beginning so that you can duck inside by that first turn and save some ground. If you're running outside and you want to get to the lead and you can't get there, then you're going to basically be running a little more than 1.25 miles. And of course, even a few feet make a big difference. So it's more racing style in that regard than anything else.
Talking to Andy Weingarten, our horse racing expert, previewing the Belmont Stakes coming up tomorrow right here on 580 Sports Talk on this Feel Good Friday afternoon. Before we get to your win play show picks, Andy, I did want to ask just kind of for the sport at large, the sport of horse racing, elsewhere in the sports world, we're in the analytics era, if you will. It's been such a big thing in baseball for so long. We've got all these advanced metrics now for the NBA and even college basketball. Certainly for the NFL, there's all sorts of stuff that I really like to get into. You mentioned it a few minutes ago that horses now, the way they're bred is a little bit different in terms of developing that speed. Is there anything that would fall into the family of like analytics that people in the horse racing space are leaning into now? Or is it really almost old school in a way that, no, you need the fast horse and that's how this is going to work?
I mean, that's a great question. I mean, the one thing about horse racing compared to other sports, since you're dealing with humans and other sports, it's all about the breeding. Always has been. In other words, just because Mark McGuire, the power hitter, doesn't mean if he had a son, Jimmy McGuire, that he's going to be the same way. It just doesn't work. But in horse racing, it's all about the breeding. It's who the mare and the sire are. Really that more than anything else is how you get to the top of the sport. Now, once you get there, there are still some things, there's speed ratings, whether you like a dirt track or a grass track, you've got some of those analytics at play, but it's still, even now comes down to breeding.
Even the nerds getting involved in horse racing. I love it. All right, Andy, we've got 9 horses here to pick from. It's the Belmont Stakes 2026. Let's get your picks for the Belmont third leg of the Triple Crown. Let's start with your show pick. Who's coming in third this weekend?
Okay. Like I did in the Derby, I kind of like to find a long shot that I think will be closing at the end. And I mentioned him as one of the 4 horses that didn't run in the Derby to finish third. I like Private Equity, the 12-1 morning line shot to finish third.
All right, the 6th horse. Who you got as your place? Who's going to finish as the runner-up?
I'm going to take the same horse that was the runner-up in the Derby. I'm going to pick Renegade, the favorite, to finish second. I think it's going to be a similar situation where he's right there at the top of the stretch, but he's going to get passed by one horse. Probably not at the very end like it happened in the Derby in the last few strides, but maybe a third of the way down the final stretch, he's going to get passed by one horse.
Okay, so with that, who you got winning? We already talked about Chief Wallaby, who's got great odds here. Golden Tempo won the Kentucky Derby. You look at a horse like Commandment that has fairly decent odds as well. Where are you going for your winner?
I went with the horse that we haven't talked about, and you just mentioned him. I think Commandment is the best horse of the bunch. Commandment was the favorite initially to win the Kentucky Derby in the morning line because of his prior three races. Well, he had a horrible trip in the Derby. He got stuck in traffic. Still finished respectable, but just could not really get into the race. He won't have a traffic issue here. I think he's the best horse overall, and I love the odds at 6-1 in the morning line, although I'm going to predict he'll end up being the second choice. He'll probably be bet down to maybe 4-1 by the time the Belmonts run, but I like Commandment for the value to win the Belmont.
All right, you heard it here. It's our horse racing gospel here on 580 Sports Talk. Andy is going with Commandment to win, Renegade to place, and Growth Equity to show coming up in the Belmont Stakes this weekend up at Saratoga. Andy Weingarten, 38 years breaking down horse racing with us here on 580 Sports Talk and 580 WIBW, formerly of WIBW TV here in Topeka and Wave 3 TV in Louisville. Andy, we always appreciate the time, my friend. Thank you so much for joining us. Enjoy this weekend. Always appreciate the time.
Same here. Let's do 39 next year.
We love it. Thanks, Andy.
Okay.
That is the great Andy Weingarten joining us to break down the Belmont Stakes. Andy's the absolute best. We're going to get to another timeout. We'll come back on the other side of this commercial break. We'll pay a few bills, and Dan and Spencer have you the rest of the way on this Belmont Stakes preview and Feel Good Friday edition of 580 Sports Talk.
All right, 4:55, wrapping up this 4 o'clock hour with Change My Mind. We threw Brandon back in the storage closet. Dan and Spencer back here on 580 Sports Talk. Change my mind. He announced his retirement from the NFL late Wednesday. So I didn't get a chance to talk about this with you guys yesterday. I'm sure it was a headline. Change my mind. Russell Wilson is a Pro Football Hall of Famer.
He has a Super Bowl. He has the passing accolades, but he doesn't. I don't know. That the second act of his career wasn't successful. Right, but also Aaron Rodgers is in the same boat, so I don't know.
So that's just it. Like, if you remove the last 4 years from the equation, it's a no doubt Hall of Fame career for Russell Wilson. It didn't end well. But at the same time, how many Hall of Famers does it end well for? It just, we notice it more because it's a quarterback. The first 10 years, the Seattle portion of Russell Wilson's career is a Hall of Fame career. I am careful to not give too much credit to Pro Bowl appearances because Shadur Sanders is a Pro Bowler.
It doesn't matter anymore.
Tyler Huntley is a Pro Bowler. Mitch Trubisky is a Pro Bowler. But when you're a 10-time Pro Bowler, I feel like that means something.
I think, too, the time, like, when he went 4 straight, that was the time the Pro Bowl was still, I think, had a little bit of meaning.
They were the first 4 years of his career. He
Yeah.
was a Super Bowl champion, went back to another Super Bowl the year after that.
He won
really put up some big passing numbers as he rounded the corner into his 30s. His last 2 healthy seasons in Seattle, he threw for over 4,000 yards, threw 40 touchdowns in 2020. He was unbelievable that year.
Does the Walter Payton Man of the Year award have any leaning?
I don't know. It doesn't hurt, right?
Because I feel like the elite of the elite win the Walter Payton Man of the Year award.
Yeah, like, it doesn't hurt, certainly. Like, I know it was a disaster his last 4 years, and I know that he's a bit of a caricature. Everybody thinks he's corny. I think he's corny, even though he's my favorite quarterback on my favorite team ever. But go back and watch young Russell Wilson. That was a guy who could do things that nobody else could do. And when you're saying that about a guy who went to 10 Pro Bowls and won a Super Bowl, I think you're talking about a Hall of Fame quarterback.
Yeah.
I really believe that. Spencer's got you the rest of the way in the 5 o'clock hour on 580 Sports Talk.
Welcome to the 5 o'clock hour of 580 Sports Talk here on 580 WIBW, an MSC Radio Group station, as you just heard, as we celebrate new local ownership here in Topeka, bringing it back to what it once was a long time ago. We, for one, are so excited to be back to local ownership here at this station and excited to be back to what local ownership means and what doing things locally mean here on 580 WIBW, all of our stations here and across Kansas Radio Networks, Kansas Information Network, Kansas Agriculture Network. Spencer Dupuis here with you solo on this final hour. We'll have some overtime, just finished up with making sure all that was gotten together for the overtime segment, and it'll be fun. We'll re-rack the interviews from earlier today. If you missed Dan Lucero in hour one with our Chiefs insider Matt Derrick, getting you the latest from minicamp OTAs, all that going on at One Arrowhead Drive, as we obviously played back the press conferences yesterday from Eric Bieniemy and new wide receiver coach Chad O'Shea, but Matt Derrick was boots on the ground and was able to watch the practices and be in the media room for those press conferences. Dan caught up with him in hour one. We'll play that back going on in the first part of the overtime segment. The second one, if you missed Andy Weingarten, our horse racing expert, as tomorrow the third race of the Triple Crown in Saratoga Springs, New York is happening. We'll re-rack that interview as well before we turn things over to the Royals Radio Network at 6:30 as they take on the Twins and look to start a winning streak. They've won back-to-back games, but can they win 3 in a row? Find out tonight. Tune into Royals baseball. It is on Apple TV Plus, so this is the only local broadcast you'll get. You listen right here on 580 WIBW FM 104.9 throughout Northeast Kansas. Again, I'm Spencer Dupuis with you as we get into headline segment. The headlines this evening. Text the program 785-272-9429. Get us in the YouTube comments as we inch closer to the 1,000 subscriber mark. Help us get us there. We're on youtube.com/580 Sports Talk, at 580 Sports Talk on YouTube. You could also be watching on our Facebook page, WIBW News. And looking through some comments, Mark B, WIBW shared frequency with Kansas State's radio station KSAC. They originally owned the frequency and later from 1 to 5. Yeah, a lot of things happened on these frequencies back in the day in our historic radio stations, legendary stations here, between the big 94.5 country, WIBW FM, us here, 104.9 AM, 580 at WIBW AM, KSAJ, the big Jack FM 98.5. All those are now locally owned under the Many Signals Communications Radio Group out of Hiawatha. Familiar names and very sports focused. So just be prepared. Some things could be coming down the line here in the next few months that you weren't expecting from us here at the at 580 Sports Talk. But let's get into some headlines for you as we begin things today. It's going to be a KU baseball focused hour, but pretty cool. The National Collegiate Baseball Writers Association, before they name their teams of the year, basically all Americans essentially, they name regional teams, or district teams, in the region. The Sunflower State is home to the NCBWA District 6 Co-Players of the Year. Kansas shortstop Tyson LeBlanc and Kansas State shortstop D. Kennedy were both recognized Thursday by the National Collegiate Baseball Writers Association as the District 6 Co-Players of the Year, capping standout seasons for the two Big 12 premier players. LeBlanc played a pivotal role in the team, one of the most successful seasons in KU history. The shortstop has helped guide the Jayhawks to the Big 12 regular season title, the Big 12 championship tournament title, and through the Lawrence Regional last weekend, as they will host the Super Regionals this weekend. Just tune into our website, 580www.com, to our at 580 Sports Talk on Twitter or X, and I'll be there for live coverage of the weekend's events. Again, looking back at Tyson LeBlanc's season, he's an all Big 12 first team selection. He's one of two Big 12 or two Jayhawks to start all 61 games this season. He has hit 344 with 85 hits, including 12 doubles, 3 triples, and 24 homers. LeBlanc has driven in 68 RBIs and scored 63 runs this year. He leads the team in home runs with 24, RBIs with 68. Again, batting average at 344, hits with 85, total bases at 175, runs with 63. He's a 708 slugging percentage and on-base percentage of 430 with 11 stolen bases. He is second in the Big 12 in hits, fourth in homers, tied for 9th nationally, and total bases tied for 8th nationally, as he has a sling of records. Again, D. Kennedy also named the co-player of the year for District 6, the recognition for K-State's best player, which is freaking awesome in my opinion. They're both co-players. They both play the same position. He's had an extensive resume. He's one of 15 student athletes to be recognized. With the award, he becomes just a second player in school history to earn the NCBWA District Player of the Year honor, joining former Wildcat A.J. Morris, who received the distinction in 2009. He has an expansive accolade list for this year. He was a semifinalist for the Golden Spikes Award, the Doug Hauser Trophy, and Brooks Wallace Award. He was first team All Big 12, midseason All-America first team recognition from D1 Baseball and Perfect Game, and he had won the 5 Player of the Week awards. He hit 279 a season ago. He put together one of the top offensive campaigns in K-State history during his junior year. He led the Wildcats with a 357 batting average, 461 on base. He slugged 733, ranking 4th in program history for a single season. He capped the year with 17 doubles, 3 triples, a school record 20 homers, 22 stolen bases. With his record-breaking 20th homer, he became just the 5th player in Big 12 history to record 20 homers and 20 stolen bases in the same season. He is also one of only 4 players nationally to accomplish the feat in 2026. So big shout out to both Tyson LeBlanc and D. Kennedy. Again, Tyson LeBlanc and KU in the Lawrence Super Regionals. I'll be having coverage for you here on 580WIBW.com, as well as the 580 Sports Talk on X. But also the game tomorrow night, 5 p.m. first pitch between KU and Oklahoma on ESPN2. Sunday's game will be on some sort of ESPN platform. It's yet to be determined, but it's slated for 5 p.m. And it's the best 2 out of 3 series. Depending on how things go on Sunday, after the game, they will tell you the game time for Monday if it is needed. Next headline, former Kansas State standout Big 12 special teams player of the year and former Washington football player Brandon Banks was going to be inducted into the Canadian Football Hall of Fame. As a Washington, then Redskin fan growing up, he was kind of in my formative years of players that I really watched. I really liked him coming out of K-State undrafted back in 2010. He was so fun to watch. And, unfortunately, just being 5'7" on a good day and 150 pounds on a good day, he couldn't really stick it in the NFL, but getting that opportunity with the Hamilton Tiger Cats from 2013 to 2021 and the Toronto Argonauts in 2022, where he was a Grey Cup champion. He was CFL's most outstanding player back in 2019. He won the Terry Evan Sheen Trophy in 2019, a 4-time CFL All-Star, 2014, 15, 18, and 2019, a 6-time CFL East All-Star, 2014 through 19. When he was in the NFL, he was the NFL kick return yards leader in 2011, during his 2012 to 2010 to 2012 tenure on the then Washington Redskins. My favorite part of his career was it's a December game. It was then FedEx Field hosted the Army Navy game on a Saturday. The then Redskins played the Patriots on a Sunday. Rex Grossman was the Washington quarterback. And they did a trick play, and besides the logo being at center field, the end zones were Army and Navy. They didn't move the sod out, and they didn't have enough sod. I mean, that was probably wanting to recognize the Army Navy game. But Brandon Banks threw a touchdown pass to Santana Moss. One of my favorite plays of his of all time. I actually have an autographed, at least one autographed Brandon Banks picture from collecting when I was growing up. He was, again, one of my favorite players for a short stint on the team. But he made a hell of a career in the CFL, and because of that, he was honored last night ahead of one of the CFL games before the Tiger Cats home opener. He signed a one-day contract to retire as a member of the team where he had the most success, not getting his Grey Cup title, but where he spent the longest time, those 8-9 seasons that he was there. In his CFL career, he had 422 catches for 5,678 yards, 44 receiving touchdowns, 5 rushing touchdowns, and 13 return touchdowns. But last night he signed a ceremonial one-day contract to retire. During halftime of the game, they were recognizing him for retiring, but also, unbeknownst to him, they're recognizing him as he's announced as an inductee into the Canadian Football Hall of Fame as part of the class of 2026. So Kansas State's own Brandon Banks, who accolades at Kansas State, he was the first team All Big 12 in 2009, the Big 12 Offensive Newcomer of the Year in 2008 after he transferred from Bakersfield after he played 2 seasons there. And then he was the Big 12 Special Teams Player of the Year in 2009, along with a third-team All-American before he went undrafted and signed with the then Washington Redskins. Favorite part about him is he was in Washington when John Wall was, and they grew up together. So whenever Brandon Banks would score, he would do the John Wall Dougie move. If you're watching on 580 Sports Talk on YouTube or Facebook, you could see that action there. Moving to the next headline. Not a lot of headlines going on, but we'll check here around the NFL as some more contract extensions might be going through. Well, actually, news here, Broncos outside linebacker Jonathan Cooper, he was arrested on domestic violence charges on Thursday, so keep an eye out for an AFC team. Also, the Bears are edging closer to a move to Northwest Indiana for their new stadium. Statement from Chairman George H. McCaskey and President and CEO Kevin Warren says, quote, yesterday, the Chicago Bears Board of Directors met and voted to advance our stadium development project in Hammond, Indiana, with the exact site to be selected. We believe a world-class stadium project in Hammond will transform the region connecting Northwest Indiana to the south side of Chicago through the loop and across neighborhoods and suburbs stretching north of the city. It will bring Chicagoland together and deliver new opportunities to residents and businesses. So this is all about the state of Illinois not doing anything. That's really what it's all about. If they moved to Hammond, Indiana, they'd be the second NFL franchise in Indiana, joining the Indianapolis Colts. This is decades of speculation surrounding them getting a new stadium after, whether it be at the demolished horse racing track that they bought, or redoing Soldier Field, putting obviously every team wants a dome and wants a Super Bowl and wants Final Fours and yada, 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 yada. So there was talk of them wanting to put a dome onto Soldier Field, and I don't think that would have cut it. But yeah, that's the latest news out of the Bears. George Pickens, he has not attended the team's voluntary off-season workouts for the Cowboys. He is expected, though, to be at the mandatory minicamp June 16th to 18th. Also, we know that Myles Garrett got traded right to the Rams. Well, they did not agree upon a new contract. He will play as I pull up the exact thing here. The computer wasn't not liking what I was doing here. Now I can't find my post here. Okay, here it is. They did not agree on a new deal. Instead, they did a rework of his contract. It'll pay him $204 million over 5 years. Essentially what he was making in Cleveland. The average per year and term remained the same deal as was Cleveland. The alteration allowed the Rams to onboard Myles and his recording sack deal, moving the vesting date of his guarantees back a few months so they could potentially renegotiate a contract. In baseball news, Yankees outfielder and one of the best players in Major League Baseball, Aaron Judge, was diagnosed with a stress fracture on the first rib of his right side. He's expected to return this season, but he will be out for some time. While he's a big MVP candidate over the last few years, he has not played well this season. Obviously, we're trending towards a potential Bobby Witt Jr. MVP season, just the way that he is playing. Let's get an update on some golf scores here. It's the Memorial this weekend in Ohio. Leading the way is JT Poston right now. He's 9 under for the tournament, 7 under for the day. He leads the tournament solely. Ryan Gerard is second alone at 8 under par. Sam Burns third, 6 under par. Tommy Fleetwood is fourth at 4 under par. Xander Schauffele 2 under par, along with Patrick Cantley and Wyndham Clark. Aaron Ray 1 under with Alex Fitzgerald. Shane Lowry even for the day is Keegan Bradley. JJ Spawn, who I believe was a leader after day 1. Scotty Scheffler is 1 over par today, tied for 19th place as he shot even today. Hideki Matsuyama also 1 over par. Rory McIlroy as well. Justin Rose, Bud Cauley, Matt Fitzgerald, and Topeka's own Gary Woodland. They are both 2 over par. Cam Young 3 over par. They all make the cut. Justin Thomas makes the cut of 5 over par. Players that did not make the cut: Jason Day, Jordan Spieth. Let's see. Sam Stevens, the Wichita native, was 11 over. He did not make the cut for this one. Let's get a playoff roundup here as we get ready to end the headline segment. Here's the playoff roundup.
It's time for the 580 Sports Talk playoff roundup.
On the ice last night, Stanley Cup final game 2 did not disappoint. An overtime thriller. Carolina come back with, in the third, down 2-0 to go ahead 3-2 before Mark Stone of Vegas tied it with 1:21 to go. There was potentially another goal. They didn't call it a goal. It went past the goal. There was a review. It was a controversial moment in the game. They go to overtime. Seth Jarvis scores 3:56 into the overtime period. The series is knotted at 1 apiece. That score was on a power play because of a trip by Vegas. Game 3 set for 7 p.m. ABC tomorrow night from T-Mobile Arena in Vegas. Game 2 of the NBA Finals is tonight, set for tonight as they get things going. It will be still in San Antonio at Frost Bank Center. 7:30, the tip-off on ABC. San Antonio is the betting favorite according to DraftKings by 6.5 in this one. New York obviously leading the series 1-0. I think it's not enough before we head to the Garden next week. So I think this one's a no doubter that it's going to be San Antonio with the win in the Frost Bank Center. Again, 7:30 on ABC. Women's College World Series concluded last night. Texas, your back-to-back champs with a 4-1 win, sweeping Texas Tech. Tech went up 1-0 in the first inning, and then Texas scored 4 straight runs. Topeka's own Nyjah Kennedy goes 7 innings, giving up 8 hits, 4 runs. 2 of those were earned, 3 walks and 3 strikeouts. And it's the end of the collegiate career for Nyjah. Look, the only thing that eluded Nyjah in her college career was a natty. She had an illustrious career. She did about everything possible that you could do as a collegiate softball player and broke barriers doing it. But unfortunately, the team could not get it done in the end. She was a 2-time first-team All-American, probably a third by the time, she was announced. So that was 24 and 25. She was a second team this year. She was the USA Softball Collegiate Player of the Year in 2024. 2-time NFCA National Pitcher of the Year, 24-25. Softball America Pitcher of the Year in 24. Pac-12 Pitcher of the Year at Stanford in 24. 2-time Big 12 Pitcher of the Year last year and this year. 3-time All-Tournament Team 23, 24, and 25. 2-time Honda Sports Award winner in 24 and 25. The NFCA National Freshman of the Year in 23. Softball America Freshman of the Year in 23. She was a 2-time first team All Big 12 in 25 and 26. And 2-time first team All Pac-12 in 23-24 at Stanford, along with the Pac-12 freshman team in 2023. So she made first team All Conference every year in college. Like, the things that she did in college were amazing. Her career is going to continue. She'll play for Team USA back there in Oklahoma City. That's where they train. And they'll play in the Olympics next year at Oklahoma City. She was also drafted 2nd overall in the ASU draft by the Texas Volts. I believe they get going here in the next few weeks. But Nyjah Kennedy finishing her college career, the Topeka native, becoming a legend in women's college sports for what she did in the dirt, in the circle during her illustrious career. So congratulations to Topeka's own Nyjah Kennedy on a career in collegiate athletics that she'll get to continue on in the professional realm, in the Olympic realm. Also, before we hit the break, KC Mavericks in the Kelly Cup Finals in the ECHL playoffs for the second time in 3 years. They'll take on the Florida Everblades. They got games tonight and tomorrow. Florida Everblades are the team that beat them in that. They actually in that rematch or that game before. We'll step aside for a break. When we come back, we'll have Kansas baseball presser audio. Dan Fitzgerald met with the media alongside players Darrell Osorio, Dominic Vagley, and Ryan Ritter. That's coming up after this break here on 580 Sports Talk.
Thank you. 580 Sports Talk. 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 580 Sports Tal
We're back on 580 Sports Talk. Spencer Dupuy with you solo for the rest of this one. And I'll be out there at the Hog, the expanded Hog, the backyard decks. KU taking on Oklahoma in the Super Regionals for the right to go to the College World Series in Omaha. Earlier today, Dan Fitzgerald, the head coach, met with the media alongside players Darrell Orsario, Dominic Vegley, and Ryan Ritter. We'll have that audio right here as we send things here to the press conference.
I just got off the field. Great practice. Guys are ready to go. Incredible time of year to be playing baseball. It's been quite a journey since last August with these guys, and couldn't be more proud of them. They show up every day and they compete, and another great challenge ahead of us with a great OU team, and looking forward to playing.
Henry Greenstein, Lawrence Journal World. Dario, I'm just wondering, as one of the seniors on this team, what's it been like getting to cap off your college career with an experience like this?
It's such an awesome experience. I'm just trying to take it all in. Like you said, it's my last and final year in college. So just being able to experience this with these group of guys who just likes to get after it every day is really special.
Back here. Neil Jones, KCTV5 in Kansas City. For all of the players, if you would, can you talk about what this run has meant to you all personally and to your families?
Me personally, being here all 3 years, I think it's really awesome just getting to see how the program has progressed over the years. And I think it's like my family could probably say the same too, because I feel like the Lawrence community has been great for us. Everybody's been super cool, super fun. And the atmospheres just keep getting better and better.
I think that it's been so special for my family just to kind of come together, all in support of us. Only my first year here, but it's been so cool just personally doing all this, especially coming from a smaller school last year where this kind of run felt so out of reach, but really kind of came here for an opportunity at something like this.
It's really special for me and my family, just being able to come here, like obviously my second year, but just still having to go through the JUCO route and being able to come to the Division I level and experience all this journey is like really awesome.
Ryan, last weekend when you were pitching in the game on Sunday, you had the two fastest pitches of the season. I was wondering, did you consciously reach back for another level than what you had so far, or does it just kind of come that way naturally because of the moment?
I'm never really trying to hit a PR or anything like that. It's more of just like the moment, like knowing with the guy in second and third, like a mistake can flip this game over, and just trying to hit my spot as hard as I can. If you're going to miss, you better miss up. But I think it's just everybody yelling at you, and the environment definitely creates that more than the whatever. Yeah.
Matt Tate, R1S1 Sports. Fitz, can you remind me your philosophy on arms and the pen? You got to have, I can't remember the numbers, but two of your best arms in the pen and two. What is that? What are those numbers?
Yeah, one of your top three and two of your top five.
There you go. Thank you. And so more on Ryan. Where does he land in that, and how was the journey to find where he fit?
Well, yeah, I don't know that I've sat back and ranked all of them. Just know that role-wise, it became evident that he was a guy that's going to pitch a ton for us. He's a great athlete. He bounces back fast, can pitch to lefties and righties. And, he's certainly, as a reliever, incredibly valuable. We put him into every game. And, next year, fully anticipate him being a rotation piece. And if he needed to start a game right now, he could certainly do that. So to me, it's just, that's the role that we needed. And he's filled it incredibly well.
Ryan, how did that work itself out in your head as far as what you expected and what you were hoping for your role to be here? And obviously you've settled into it pretty nicely.
Yeah. Coming from being a starter last year, that was a goal, but like Fitz said, that's kind of not how it worked out. But I just whatever my role was, I just wanted to make a difference and help this team out in any way I could. I really like my role, being able to pitch so much. It's awesome. I like just competing all the time. It's been a lot of fun.
And Dom, what's what's the day before a start like this feel like to you? I mean, it's been well documented how even keel you are and have been throughout your time here. What does it feel like today, knowing what tomorrow is?
I mean, personally, I like to just relax and try not to do too much, kind of save all my energy for tomorrow. But in the weight room, we'll do like an explosive lift, and then out on the field, just light catch, make sure everything's still feeling good, and just prepare mentally tonight for the game. I mean, not really. Just get a good night's sleep, hydrate, and just, I guess, just see my pitches the night before I go to bed.
Jack Ritter, 24/7 Sports for Dom and Ryan. OU got pretty hot over the weekend. They scored 30 runs in their 2 games combined on Sunday. What's it been like preparing for them to come and to face them from the mound?
I mean, I don't think we've really changed much. I think one of the philosophies we have is just kind of keep doing what we're doing and execute what we execute. I feel like from here on out, it's all going to be great offenses with great hitters, and just it's going to be more executing on our part. And that's kind of all we can do.
Yeah, I mean, same as what Ryan said. Like we're in this position because of what we've been doing, so it's not really a good time to just change it now. So just trust it and keep doing what we've been doing, and coaches will come up with a pretty good scouting plan, and our job is to execute that.
Sean Kellerman with Kansas Nation for Derrick. Just what's been working for you at the plate, and then maybe, Coach, if you could just touch on the length of the lineup and how great it is knowing you can depend 1 through 9.
I feel like what's been working is just going up there and just trusting my ability to go out there and compete. I mean, before every game, coach just tells us to go out there, trust your stuff, and just have fun and enjoy this moment. So, like, one of the questions were earlier, like, what makes this so special being my last year is just trying to take it all in. So just going up there, being confident in who I am, and just trust the stuff that got me here today.
I think, let me hit his real quick. I think the length has been the strength of our offense, and I think it's been team offense from day one. And I think when you have that mentality, you're never out of an inning, and you really do start to embody the pick up the guy in front of you, pick up the guy behind you, and then no one guy feels like he has to carry the whole thing. So the length has been our strength, and the guys have just stayed within themselves and played really good baseball.
Andrew Lynn, WWW Topeka. You more so than others really emphasize like the being a good teammate and that being a pillar of your program. I just wondered kind of where you learned that, if that was something, at a coaching stop where maybe you didn't have, connected players, or if that was a way that you were raised, or kind of why that's so important to you, and why that just seemingly is a topic of conversation a lot for your group.
Yeah. It's certainly how I was raised. I think I valued the great teammates that I had, and I wasn't very good, so I had to be a great teammate. I wasn't like these guys. I wasn't a stud, so I had to be a great teammate just to hang. But I had great coaches. It was always a part of the teams I was on. And then as a coach, I just learned really early that the easiest way to get beat is to beat yourself. And teams that are disconnected in the clubhouse have a hard time connecting on the field. And we spend so much time together, and as players, they spend even more time together. And for me, who they spend time with and who we spend time with is so important. And so I've kind of always thought, I've worked for so many head coaches that cared about it and had the same philosophy, but I've always thought that if you're going to spend that much time with each other, that the alignment of being a great teammate has to be a pillar.
Bethany Bowman, Sports Radio 810. I've got one for Coach and the players. Coach, for you, KU Athletics put out a really cool video of all the coaches congratulating your program. What is that like for you, and how much fun just to have the culture you do here at KU as a whole?
Oh, it's not surprising. It's very real. The department's fantastic, and everyone uses the word family in regards to everything athletically, but it really is here. every coach is pulling for the other program, and it's just very aligned, very united, and was really fired up to see the video. I thought it was super cool, but also I wasn't surprised at all. Like, those are all people I consider friends, and all people that I pull for in their sports, and yeah, it was really cool.
And then for you guys, I don't think we've talked since the regional weekend with OU and Georgia Tech. I know Coach said it really doesn't matter in this field who you play, but being at home is important. So first of all, what were you guys doing, and what was your reaction seeing that you would be hosting a super regional?
I mean, I was in the locker room watching the game. I was getting ready to hit with one of our teammates, and we just wanted to see what the result was going to be. And to be honest, when we saw that OU came out on top, we was a little excited just because we would know, like, all right, we get to have to host again, which means we have our fans out there, and the energy would just be amazing again.
Yeah, I was at home watching the game with my roommates, but we definitely celebrated a little bit whenever we saw the guy hit the walk-off home run. And, I mean, playing at home for us is obviously a huge advantage because of the crowd that we have here.
I was with Derrick in the locker room. We were just pulling for another home series one more time at the Hall.
It's along those same lines. Last weekend was 3 other teams here, multiple scouts, not knowing who you're going to play when. Does it change? Does having just one team and knowing that's who you're going to play potentially 3 games, 3 days in a row, does that bring any comfort or ease to the process?
Well, it feels like a regular weekend, which our sport is kind of different in that we play a series all year, and then we play a random tournament, and then a series, and then so I hope someday our sport moves to 32 host sites where you play one would play a 4 and a 2 out of 3, a 2 would play the 3 and a 2 out of 3. You meet the next weekend, and I think there's real momentum inside of our coaching industry for that. I think anytime you're in a super regional, I don't know what the word you use, Matt, but does it bring comfort? Like, it's pretty special. Like, there's 16 of us left, and the challenge of facing a really good OU team, a really well coached OU team. Wouldn't want it any other way than to. I mean, if you told us before the year we were going to be hosting a super regional, I think we would have all taken it. So yeah, it's pretty special, and can't wait.
How about from any of you guys? Player perspective on that, just especially pitchers. You have one lineup you have to worry about. Derrick, same thing. I mean, if any of you guys want to just answer that, just being able to lock in on one team.
Yeah, I mean, kind of what Coach Fitz said. It's kind of like what we've been doing all year, preparing for the 3-game series, like during conference too. So, I mean, I feel like we're pretty well prepared for that. We got a good 3-man rotation, deep enough bullpen. So, yeah, I mean, hitters are always going to back us up out there. So I feel like we have a pretty good advantage with the home crowd too. So it'll be a good weekend.
I like it. Just our coaches have done such a good job of like setting a good scouting report and like a good plan the whole season, and seeing like, especially like Dom giving us a good start, showing us kind of how it's done, and then giving everybody else like a blueprint to like how to attack these hitters. It's been really fun.
Yeah, same thing. I feel like it's just all about the trust in the coaches, and then going out there and just trusting the scouting report. I mean, it is have like a better comfortability just knowing, all right, we're just going one day and facing this team and the same thing the next. So just going out there facing the same group of guys is just more easier to go and trust the process.
It's like a weekend series, but it's different in the sense that it could also theoretically end after 2. So does that have to change the way that you manage things in the first 2 games at all, knowing that there might not be a third?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's win or go home. So I think there are decisions that you make throughout the course of the first 2 days, depending on where you're sitting. But in essence, you're trying to win a series. And so I think some of those in-game decisions, and when do we go to Ritter and when do we go to Bodie, and those may change in certain situations, but for the most part, we're just trying to win a series.
And is Cade still good, sort of like you projected he would be earlier in the week?
Yeah, I think he's fine. He feels better every day. Yeah, he's progressing on track.
Coach, could you talk about the Oklahoma coach saw the video, saw the atmosphere here, and was saying this is so exciting for our players too to go into that because they did such a great job. Can you talk about how exciting it is for the players and for yourself to be in this environment?
Yeah, it's incredible. And it's been really cool to be a part of watching that build over 4 years. And I think back to last year when he hit a walk-off home run against Nebraska Omaha, and our student section spilled onto the field, and kind of the start of the madness. And it's just continued to grow and grow. But it's been amazing, and the way our administration has responded with. We built that backyard pretty quick, and now I notice we've got stuff going up in right field too. So it's been amazing. I think the energy around everything here right now it's fantastic. So it'll be an awesome environment. Last weekend there were moments where you thought, man, this is tough to top, but certainly anticipate it being really special tomorrow.
That was Kansas baseball head coach Dan Fitzgerald. He met with the media earlier today, along with players Darrell Orsario, Dominic Vegley, and Ryan Ritter ahead of the start of tomorrow's Super Regional at the Hog. As he mentioned just there at the end, the backyard, getting more bleachers, standing room, bring your own seats. The student section, I think, is going back there as well. There's a cool picture that KU Baseball posted on their X account having to do with that. And then the backyard decks in right center and right field, I saw those go up. There's some video on social media. Those look freaking cool. The Hog is going to be packed out once again, and people are going to be cranking it up at the Hog tomorrow and Sunday, both games set for 5 p.m. I'll be there covering it for you. Check our social channels. We come back, we'll do a quick round of AMA. Get your questions in the YouTube chat or on our text line, 785-272-9429. We'll be back for a quick round of AMA after this. 580 Sports Talk. We are rounding third and heading for home. We've got just a few minutes left in the show this evening, so we are going to do an AMA segment here as I make sure I take off the graphic off the screen from the KU presser. Got some already cooked up. My score prediction for tonight's Royals game. I really don't know, to be quite honest with you. While I've got the time, you know what? I'm going to give you the Royals lineup for tonight, since we usually do a Royals preview segment. It's a 7:15 first pitch. You can listen right here on 580 WIBW through the Royals Radio Network, the only local broadcast, as it's on Apple TV Plus. The lineup goes as follows. The DH is Carter Jensen, batting second, shortstop Bobby Witt Jr., batting third, first baseman Vinny Pasquantino, batting fourth, catcher Salvador Perez, batting fifth, the right fielder Jack Caglione, batting sixth, the left fielder Isaac Collins, batting seventh, second baseman Michael Massey, who's been mashing lately. Michael Massey mashing. Batting eighth, left fielder Nick Lofton. Rounding out the lineup in center field is Kyle Isbell. Michael Wacha takes the ball tonight. He had a rough start for him on Sunday. I think he gives up 2 to 3 runs tonight. I think the Royals score runs again. I'll say 5-4 the Royals win this one, and they take the series, or they have the chance to win the series tomorrow. Tomorrow's game is a 1:10 p.m. first pitch for the Royals, as you can hear that right here. Pregame coverage beginning at 12:30. Luander Avila will be on the bump for KC. Sunday's game, also a 1:10 p.m. first pitch with pregame at 12:30. Noah Cameron getting the ball. Be a good turnaround weekend for the Royals, who, you know, they're only 4 wins back of the Twins, so it'll be a good weekend for them to get some wins. Looking at some other Ask Me Anythings here real quick before we hit the final break. Let's see. Anybody have anything for me? If I could play a sport at a professional level, this one from Mark B in the YouTube comments. The other one from Jeffrey. Jeffrey, I gave you that score prediction. Mark B. It'd be hockey. I just love the physicality of the sport. It's my favorite sport to watch. So that would be my sport. We come back. I'll get you a final word. We'll have 580 Sports Talk overtime, and then Royals baseball coming up at the bottom of the 6 o'clock hour. We'll be right back for the final word. Wrapping things up on this edition of 580 Sports Talk. Before we hit 580 Sports Talk overtime, Jeffrey with another question. What's for dinner tonight? It's not delivery, it's DiGiorno pizza for tonight. My final word for tonight is KU baseball going to be fun for their first ever Super Regionals at the Hawks. Going to be packed. Follow along with me on the social media channels as we will get things going to you. 580 Sports Talk overtime coming up next. We'll re-rack the interviews from the 3 and 4 o'clock hour that were done by our own Brendan Dorzinski and Dan Lucero. So for that, it has been 580 Sports Talk here on 580 WIBW, now locally owned and operated through MSC Radio. We will talk to you here in just a little bit for overtime.